Welcome to Six Storm, a comedy game design podcast where two guys with colds who know nothing about comedy. What? I've screwed it up completely. Welcome to Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Ben Slinger, and with me, as always, is Trevor Scott.
Hello.
And we are both a bit sick.
Yes, not feeling
yes.
Good. But we're going to persevere.
We're going to persevere because we burnt our buffer last week while I was cruising up the east coast of Australia, and we didn't get to record an episode. So I'm looking forward to doing this, even though my nose is stuffed and my throat is sore.
So one thing that we didn't get to mention on last week's episode, it was your birthday last week.
This is true.
Well, now that the episode's coming out, it was 2 weeks ago. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you, Trevor. And
did you like your surprise?
Yes, so Trevor played a part in my birthday gift from my wife by giving her some advice on the right graphics card to purchase so that the computer that he built for me and is lending me to be able to play some games is now meets the minimum requirements for virtual reality.
Yay!
Oh. So yes, I will be buying an Oculus Rift in the near future, and
when your credit card bill isn't so high. Basically,
yes, once I get some payola, and we'll both be in the VR club. There's actually a special club that Trevor and our other friends who have VR have, but they're not letting me into it yet. Fuckers.
What was it? I'm part of the Riftaholics Not So Anonymous Club. So
yes, we all know who each other are.
Yes.
So yes, anyway, that given that the number of VR games we come up with, and it's sort of become our trademark that, you know, half the games that we make end up being VR games, I will actually be able to partake on my own time and play some multiplayer with Trevor and others, and maybe get our VR podcasting studio happening.
That'd be awesome. Now there's a reason to actually do it. So anyway, we digress.
We digress. We're a couple minutes into the episode and we haven't started any click pitch yet. So we best do that now. Do you want to do the intro?
I want to do the honors? Yes, I will. So click pitch is a game where we both have a random word generator in front of us. On the count of 3, 2, 1, we're going to click refresh, get those words, jam them together, and come up with a game design. And
let's do it.
We'll see what happens. 3, 2, 1, click.
Publisher.
World.
Oh, okay.
For some reason, I'm seeing a 2D side scroller called Super Publisher World.
Okay. All right. So this is in the style of those old Apogee ones where they basically like come up with a single idea and then like all the weapons and stuff. It's like, all right, publisher. Let's do publishing. So what weapons can we have? What are the power-ups? You got a good critical review.
Well, I'm thinking you've got your soft and your hard attack, so that's your paperback and your hardback.
Yep.
So you know that's a perfect analogy for, you know, whether you can do your weak attack or your
that works well. That works well.
Now that you said Apogee, I'm thinking like what are the enemies? Because I think of Commander Keen had like aliens, and you know, Monster Bash had monsters.
Critics, authors. The publishers might think the authors are the enemy. Bad authors. What's your double jump? How does a publisher double jump? Is it like they get the big promotion? Like jump up the corporate ladder?
No, I think what they do is as they jump, they put down a hardcover and they jump off it. You know, it's sort of like...
Right, okay, and they're like a little cartoon physics sort of thing where they put it underneath them, use it as a stepping stone to get to the next one, and then it just falls down. Yeah. So it can actually double as an attack, because if you double jump over the top of an enemy's head, the hardcover also falls down and hits him in the head.
Falls down and cracks him in the skull, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
So I'm really liking the cartoony physics, so... I'm just trying to think.
I'm pretty sure a cartoony platform game about book publishers has never been done. So we're in uncharted territory. That's where we like to be.
Really in uncharted territory.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that like the bosses have to be something to do with other things that publishers hate, like spelling mistakes and maybe non-fiction authors.
Well, maybe it might make more sense actually if you play an author, and so we can still have all the book-based stuff, but then because then the bosses can be around publishers and editors and people who get in the way of your book getting out there. Because I'm just thinking like an editor with their big red pen, their attacks are all like correcting your grammar.
Oh, and then you got the evil editor that's trying to like ruin your book because it's their final day at the publishing firm, so they just don't give a shit anymore.
Or because they've got like an alternate author who has a similar book that they want to succeed, and so they're trying to bring you down. Totally.
I'm really liking this.
There's some good stuff there.
I'm seeing like the graphic art style being sort of maybe cell shaded. Kind of almost comic booky, because I like the idea of like maybe he wants to do it as a graphic novel, so it's in a graphic novel.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there's
still hardcovers in that.
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah. Well, that's good because that gives you some extra sorts of things to bring in some comic booky stuff around like the.
Well, it can now be co-op. You got the artist and the
right. You got the artist and the tracer.
Yep.
Is that where you were going?
The artist and the writer.
Sorry, there's a Chasing Amy reference I'm throwing in there.
Maybe the tracer is one of the
It's like one of the sidekicks that it just shows up for a special attack or something.
So I'm now seeing like Comic-Con is going to be a level. So trying to get through the crowds.
Yeah, well, I think then what you can do is, like, as you go through the levels, it's sort of as you're gaining in popularity from your books. So at the start, you're kind of just at your local comic book store or something trying to sell your hastily stapled together photocopied versions of your comic, of your graphic novel. And then it's like you've got a level going through the publisher's office to get to the publisher at the end. And like the final move is you just slamming your graphic novel in their face and saying, publish this. And then they do. And so then you're like, then you're on your book tour and then you're at Comic-Con and going bigger and bigger.
Oh, then you're at the movie studio that's producing your.
Yes, exactly. I was about to say that. Yeah, then you're on set as they make the movie version of your characters.
But then it turns into Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and you're actually trying to stop it from being made.
Yeah, because they're fucking destroying it. Totally. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I like where that ended up. That's cool. And yeah, because of the comic book style thing, you could bring in like the onomatopoeia as you hit things with the like thwack, as you throw your books at them, and the cartoony physics and stuff. That's cool.
Yeah, I like it. 3, 2, 1, click.
Yeah.
Front.
A sign. Maybe this is like some sort of action game where you're in zero gravity.
Mm-hmm.
And so at any point you have to assign which way is forward. So you can sort of reconfigure your ship or something to, I don't know. I don't want to reference this because the author is a horrible homophobe, but I'm getting like an Ender's Game vibe of like the gate is down. I don't know if you've read that or not, but there's the whole thing about like they're fighting in this arena in zero gravity, and the main character kind of realigns people's perceptions of it by telling them that instead of thinking of the gate as like on the other side horizontally, it's like think of it as it being down below you, and it sort of changes the way they. Yeah, that's where I was going. But I don't know. Actually,
I'm currently looking at my shelf where I see. I can only see Xenocide, the third book in that series.
Okay, so
I know I've got all the books there, including like Shadow of the Hegemon, and yeah.
Well, then that explanation was for our listeners.
For our wonderful listeners. Okay, so I'm seeing a world where... Like,
in a world.
For some reason, gravity has failed on this planet.
Where gravity has failed. Yeah.
So, at all times, like, they've pretty much just built almost like a massive space station on this planet.
Okay.
So that people didn't float away or anything like that. But wherever you are, like, I'm just seeing classrooms with, like, every single wall and floor and all that sort of stuff has, like, desks on it. So that because there's no gravity, the kids are literally sitting wherever they want, and the teacher has to sort of float around, and there's no such thing as up or down or anything like that, because, I mean, the only reason why we've got up and down is because we're always upright.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Let's go with that. Yeah, I like this idea that through some quirk in physics, there is this planet that has lost all its mass, but is still intact, and so there's no or very minimal gravity. So yeah, how would they build, like, what's this space station? Are you sort of thinking it's still on the surface, or are there different
It's on the
layers,
surface,
different levels?
And what I think they find out is sort of the reason why there is no gravity is the actual, like, crust of the planet is so far detached from the center of the actual planet that it's sort of just floating in space, so that it's actually got not too much
So it's just
not too much pull, because basically something's happened to the core of the planet to not have that gravitational pull anymore.
It's just a vacuum inside the planet. Now.
So I like the idea that maybe you're playing a scientist that has to, you've been assigned to investigate the core. So it's sort of like a journey to the center of this planet.
Right. So, I mean, for them to have built this stuff, it's going to have to have been like this for a long time.
Yeah.
But now they need to, like,
But
something
now
maybe...
they've got the technology that they can actually,
So it's basically like the movie The Core, where there's, like, global catastrophe happening for some reason. After centuries or, I don't know, millennia of this planet not having gravity, and they've all adapted to it. It's the world's finally breaking apart, and, like, parts of the crust are breaking, and there's just nothing underneath. And so it's like it's like the opposite of the core. He has to go in there and find out why there is no core.
Yeah.
Find out how to stabilize this planet. Yeah. So I kind of like the idea that these habitats are all kind of floating, right? There's no reason for them to be on the ground. I wonder do you think they'd make them spherical, or do you think they'd stick with having sort of cubular shapes? That's not a word. But.
I think each of the habitats that are sort of attached are spherical.
Okay. Because I'm kind of picturing them still chained, like still attached to the crust in some way, right? Because they can't just be going off and running into each other and different things. Like, they've all got little retro thrusters to sort of keep them in place, but at the same time, they each sort of are chained to the crust, and the minuscule centrifugal force of the planet is enough to kind of keep that outstretched. So it's basically like all these little ball and chains, like, attached to the core of this planet as it rotates and sort of spinning outwards. Do you know what I mean? All at different level, like different altitudes and stuff. Yeah.
So the sort of gameplay I'm seeing is obviously first person, not VR, because that's just going to be sickening.
Oh god!
But I'm liking the idea that yes, you've got like the little thruster sort of things that you can sort of choose whether you're going sort of forwards, backwards, and all that sort of stuff. But
yep.
Then when you're actually being sent to do any sort of like traveling between places, you get into sort of a descent style ship. So if you remember the old game Descent, where basically you can go almost any direction.
Yeah,
and it's sense. zero G sort of flying. I like the idea
so
that
you've got inertia, but in whatever direction you're flying, and so you have to you have to deal with that. But yeah, otherwise there's no gravity. There's nothing pulling you in a particular direction except your inertia and your thrusters.
Yeah, so I like the idea that there's like a cave system that is sort of opened up during a recent, whether it's an earthquake or something like that. So you actually fly the ship into it, and you know at the start,
but
it's sort of.
Are we thinking it's like an exploration game, like a narrative thing?
Narrative exploration sort of game. Maybe you've got to sort of build, go a certain distance into this cave system to actually work out where you can put like an outpost, and then you build an outpost, and then you can get back, and you know you can now start out from here to go a little bit further.
Okay, this is like open world kind of thing, and you're having to. Then you can fast travel between your outposts, and if you need to get back into town to get more information and get back to your outpost.
Yeah. I think if you got to manage fuel and those sort of things, you know, that's
okay. That's interesting. I started playing Subnautica a couple of days ago.
Game. That is a really cool game,
and so it's sort of giving me those sort of vibes a little bit. Not necessarily the full tech tree stuff, but that exploration thing of having to set your outposts, and I mean that could be interesting, exploring this cave system in a zero gravity environment. And so what I was thinking is, because I was thinking about, okay, would we have combat, and like, well, what would you fight against? But I had the idea that maybe there's this race of creatures that you have never discovered, but they've actually for billions of years have been consuming the inside of this planet from the inside out. And the reason that things have started happening is they've run out of food. Like, they've finally made their way from the center of this planet out to the outer crust, and they're starting to break through. And so that's why there's no mass left in this planet. But
like,
so you
literally what they eat is like iron ore. Because, you know, the core was just molten iron.
Well, yeah, and I think they've maybe adapted. I think they've adapted to just feed on any element that that happens to be in their way. They just eat anything slowly. So I don't know if it would actually be combat. This could just be more about what you find out. Because it should, it should happen fairly slowly. They could be these, like, huge, slow-moving creatures
worms.
Or something. Yeah, like worms. Yeah, okay, yeah, giant worms. And so
the cave system... When we say
giant,
we're talking about when this worm actually comes out, it is literally like a kilometre across sort of width.
Yeah, like skyscraper size or bigger.
Bigger. I'm thinking colossal. So So you know that you cannot actually fight these things. You've got to.
No. It's a more of a narrative based thing.
Yeah, and you know maybe the idea is to try and then work out, okay, this colossal thing that has just broken through the surface, how are we going to actually get it out of this planet? Because obviously this planet can no longer support it.
Yeah, you have to send it to a new planet. Maybe you have to ride it to a new planet, because maybe the planet can't support anyone anymore. It's like, all right, we're going to hollow out this worm and turn it into a spaceship.
Took us a while, but we got there.
Yeah, totally.
Cool.
It's a fun world building. Ordaining.
Bottom.
All right.
So it's a Telltale game set in the world of Bottom.
Okay, that's a license they haven't snatched up yet. Sure.
Now you're
going to have to explain Bottom to those who haven't watched it, and I haven't watched much of it actually.
Okay,
and it's been a long time.
Think of the TV show The Young Ones.
Mm-hmm.
Now you had Adrian Edmondson playing Vivian, who was the punk rock sort of guy, and you had Rick Mayall playing Rick. He was Rick in that one.
Right.
So basically, it's those two characters.
Oh, did Rick Mayall die? I didn't know Rick Mayall
passed
died.
away a couple of years ago, yes.
Yeah, that sucks.
He passed away of a heart attack. He was out walking, and I think he came home, and then he passed away.
That's really sad.
Yeah,
now there'll never be a sequel to... Fuck.
Guest House Paradiso.
No, I don't care about that.
Believe Nothing?
No, how can I not remember what this is? The kids movie. Drop Dead Fred. Now there'll never be a Drop Dead Fred sequel. That makes me really sad.
Yeah.
That movie's probably
actually
terrible. I haven't seen it in many years.
It's why I remembered, why I thought of Bottom, because I've been thinking about Rick Mayall recently.
Right,
so yeah, basically, Adrian Emerson plays a character called Edward Elizabeth Hitler.
Okay.
And Rick Mayall plays a character called Richard.
Right.
They are two down-and-out losers who basically beat the hell out of each other. So you got a lot of slapstick sort of stuff that you can have, but I'm thinking that one of their best mates, Spud Gunn, is getting married.
All right.
And so
I assume that's the actual name and not something you just came up with.
No, that is actually the name of a character.
That'd be like coming up with a character called Dave Hedgehog.
Which is another character's name.
Yes, I am looking at the Wikipedia page for this show.
So I'm seeing it that the story across all 5 episodes is that Spud Gunn's getting married.
Yep.
But then you've just got, sort of like the battle between which one's actually going to, which one's going to get ordained and,
Right. Okay. Oh, so they end up competing to be the
But basically just beating the shit out of each other, because that's all that happened in the TV show. And the many live episodes that they did.
So quick time events around slapstick humor mostly, and then a story about them wanting to get ordained to help Spud Gunn get married.
Yeah. Meanwhile, having some of the funny things that usually happen in those sort of shows.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, we'll have to get the writers on board. They can write some good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We're done.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm just trying to think of how to put some extra things in. Like, I'm thinking one of the competitions can be how much custard can you fit in your underpants competition.
Because that's what every good minister needs to be able to do, is pour custard in their underpants, slosh it around a bit. It's part of the ceremony, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that one's going anywhere. Let's click again.
I think it went where it needed to go, and now we're done.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1, click.
Speaking of great movies from the 90s, Duplicity. Was that the 90s?
Turn.
It was not that's not the movie I thought it was. Multiplicity. Damn it.
Yeah.
I don't want a 2009 crime thriller with Julia Roberts. I wanted a comedy with Michael Keaton cloning himself. Was it from the 90s? It was from the 90s. Good. Fuck. All right.
For some reason in my head, I combined that with Mr. Mum and had Billy Crystal in it. I forgot that it was Michael Keaton.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I recast it with Billy Crystal, and they're like, "No, that was Mr. Mum."
That was Mr. Mum. All right. So this definitely has to be about 90s movies. What did you get?
Turn
Duplicity. Can we make a movie out of that and cast some classic 90s comedy stars?
Didn't we do that a couple of weeks ago with 90s sitcoms?
That was sitcoms. Now we're going in so that we can get fucking... Wait, when did John Candy die? It was 26 years ago yesterday or something. So yeah, this is still alive in the 90s. He counts.
Uncle Buck.
Planes, Trains and Automobiles is one of the best films ever.
Yeah, I know. It's so awesome. 3, 2, 1, click.
Yeah. Headrest.
Assumption.
I'm picturing... So just to go with what popped into my head,
Of
is
course.
laying your head on different things and making an assumption that it's a headrest. So, like, it's a cat or it's a person's hand. I don't know. Like, there's no game there. There's nothing. That's just my improv instinct is to throw out what popped in my head. Lying on a cat and thinking it's a headrest. And go.
Okay. It's a game about narcolepsy.
Very,
So,
important issue.
so you're
Lots of
you're
people
playing
suffer from it every day.
Yep. You're playing a character who suffers from narcolepsy.
Yep.
Now, unlike a game that we've done previously where you just got to have coffee the whole time, we know that this doesn't actually work because it's not really tiredness as such. But I kind of like the idea that it's someone in a job that is actually quite important that they don't fall asleep, but having to deal with that, having to deal with narcolepsy, and at any time while you're doing these jobs, you could pass out. So,
so they're an air traffic controller.
at any time you could pass out.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking along the same lines as air traffic controller. They're actually just one of those policemen who have to like control the traffic, in the middle of a road. So it's a VR game that it just goes black every now and again.
It just goes black. So it's actually just a faulty VR game. A VR game with a faulty headset. Look, I'm having trouble coming up with something that doesn't just make fun of people with narcolepsy. Obviously, there's an interesting. Well, maybe it's not. I don't know. There are interesting gameplay mechanics to the idea of just losing complete control and falling asleep at random intervals.
Mm-hmm.
But I am sensitive to the fact that people actually suffer from this. But having said that, what if they were a hitman?
What if they're a sniper?
Yeah, they're a sniper. They've got a very important hit to make.
No, he's fallen asleep.
And they wake up and... shit. Nah, okay. Let's click again.
3, 2, 1, click. Geography.
Aced. Aced. All right. Something about cards and countries. Maybe you're a world-traveling gambler.
Tennis player.
Oh, okay. We could go there too. Who likes to gamble?
Has a gambling addiction.
Yeah.
I'm
so
sort of liking the idea that...
Needs to win this tennis tournament to pay off the loan shark.
But I'm seeing it as a game that you don't actually play the tennis player as they're playing the tennis game. You just play all the off hours. So based on how well you do in the off hours depends on how your on-court performance is.
Well, did you ever play Punch Club?
No.
Pretty sure that's what it's called. It's sort of a retro pixel-ish game where you play like a boxer and he has to train in underground fights and stuff. But you don't actually control him in the fights. You've got a certain amount of time you can spend each day to do different things like work to make money and train for different types of skills. And then there are sort of story things that happen and things that pop up. So I'm thinking maybe it's sort of something like that where, you don't play the actual tennis games, but the choices you make in the off hours around your training and you can gamble to try to make, you've got a certain amount of money you need to make back. And, there's an option to try to gamble to make that money back, but you could end up further in the hole. And there are characters around you that you can get help from or not, or who will try to stop you.
There could be loan sharks.
Yeah,
I'm sort of liking the idea that, they threaten to break your leg or something like that, which makes it almost impossible for you to actually continue on.
Yeah. So yeah, that could be an interesting way to go about that. I'm now trying to think of just how to make it distinct from the Punch Club, but just with tennis. Whether there's anything different we could do about that. I mean, that was a very much retro pixel sort of style thing where you just had different locations with very nice pixel art. But maybe ours is a bit more of a 3D thing, or even like an open world sort of thing, where you've got a bit of a day-night cycle going on, so you do have a limited amount of time, but you've got to get around this town or city where the well, maybe it's different towns and cities, since geography was part of our thing, and you just, I don't know, do you own loan sharks in all these cities because you've got such a bad addiction?
Who knows? I think you play the character from maybe the start of their career.
Okay.
And maybe you can take it down that path of.
Well, I think that I kind of like the idea a bit better of it being a player who has previously been near the top of their game and won awards, but was never quite like the best ever, and this is their comeback. And so they're still basic, and they haven't played tennis for a while, but it's the only thing they know how to do. So when they get in the hole with this loan shark, it's like, oh shit, I need to win the grand prize at Wimbledon or whatever it is. I don't know. I don't actually know tennis. I know that's one of them. And so yeah, it's about training yourself back up to that point. But I like the idea that you can design your character, and it'll maybe proceed based on the stats that you've got a pool of stats that you can start with. So maybe you can, you never lost the knack of your power serve or something because you decide to put all your stats into that, and based on that, it procedurally generates the history of your character.
Mm-hmm.
And news articles of how you won that match with your power serve, your super powerful serve or something, or whatever. Yeah, it figures out based on the stats you choose at the start. And obviously they all still start off fairly low because you have been out of the game for a long time. And yeah, and then you can have kind of the classic thing of going back to your old trainer and you have to convince them to train you again, or other people in your life who think this is a really bad idea.
Yep.
Yeah.
So is it that you're coming back after an injury, or is it?
Maybe, or maybe it's just that you never quite got to that top tier level, and then you sort of just fell off the radar, and because you did start gambling and so you kind of just gave up.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, over the course of the whole game, you discover your love for tennis again, and that you should never have given up in the first place. And by the end, you're not just doing it for the money; you're doing it to win and be a champion. Off the tiger, it's the yeah.
So are we going to get the license to play that song if you win, or are we going to get the license to play the Weird Al Yankovic version?
Oh well, it needs to.
It's the Rye or the Kaiser.
No, we need him to do a new one, but it's about tennis. What song could he cover or parody that tennis fits in, and also it's inspiring like that?
I've got no idea.
No, I don't know any. But yes, it'll definitely be a Weird Al parody of a song, because he's our spirit animal on this show. This is the third time he's come up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that tennis game. That's fun. That'd be cool.
So do I.
Shaft.
Glue.
Shaft glue.
No.
So you've glued something to your penis?
No, as soon as glue came up, I started thinking about, okay, so glue factory.
Oh, God. So you have to build a shaft that they throw the horses down.
Just their hooves.
Well, but that's part of what the shaft does. It's got, the horses go in the top, and you have to make it so only the hooves come out the bottom. And all the rest of the bits are piped off to their various...
to the dog food factory.
various chambers, Well, yeah, but you have to make sure the tail's not part of the dog food and the bones. So,
Okay, so let's go away from Glue Factory.
really, you don't want to make a game where you have to put together
Manage a Glue Factory.
a shaft that, like, you've got the bit that yanks the tail off, and then the bit that, like, skins it, and then the bit that chops the hooves off down and makes sure they go down the right pipe to end up. No?
It's an incredible machine style game.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Grind the bones to make bone meal or something. I don't know. What are they making of bones? Viagra? All right, glue and shaft.
We're back to glue and penis again.
So you work in a doctor's office.
And your first patient comes in saying, we accidentally grabbed the glue instead of the lubricant, and...
The lubricants, yes. We just saw the letters LU and assumed it was what we wanted. We were in quite a hurry. I had to get back to my job as an aircraft controller. Because the plane was about to crash.
Just fall asleep.
Well, some people just do after sex. That's the thing, right? Men. Never want to cuddle. All right, I think we'll just click again on this one.
Yeah, 3 to 1 click. Audience.
Sail. SAIL.
Okay.
Are you putting on a theatre production where you're on one boat and the audience is on the other boat? No.
You're in a world in where the only way that you can generate wind is through audience cheering.
Okay.
It's a VR sailing game, and you're racing in the America's Cup, so you got like a worldwide audience.
I was thinking that somehow you're making a multiplayer VR game, so where the audience is watching you in VR and having some sort of input. Maybe they have controllers, like you're in VR and you're sailing, and it's like a realistic sailing sim. To a certain degree, you have to like bind the jib to the boom. Whatever.
Because there's not much room on some of these small sailing boats. You've literally got like a perfect idea for room scale there. You know, you're not having to move too far.
Exactly.
And if you set up a fan just perfectly, it really feels like you're actually... especially
totally.
if it's a misting fan, and you get a little bit of water spray.
Yeah.
Put a little bit of salt in that water. Amazing.
And you could definitely hook this up to some sort of contraption where it makes it come from the right direction based on the waves. No, what I was going to say is that this person's trying to sail from one place to the other, and the other people on the controllers can just like drop shit into the ocean around them or on them, I guess, if they want to be real assholes.
So it's, in other words, a Twitch streamer's nightmare
/stream, yeah.
/stream, depending on how many viewers you get. If you don't get any viewers at all, it's definitely a nightmare. If you get too many viewers, it's definitely a nightmare.
Yeah, you've got to hit that sweet spot where you don't have millions of bowling balls and cows falling from the sky as you
Instead, you've got 20.
As you try to sail from Melbourne to Tasmania. I don't know.
Oh God!
Across the Bass Strait.
Very choppy. That's seasickness inducing.
Definitely. Well, and that's the goal. The goal is actually to have the person in VR vomit in real life.
Oh God! I don't know enough about sailing to comment anymore. But I think there's the bulk of the game. I just
thought it'd be fun as like basically a multiplayer sort of competitive thing where one person's in VR, the other people they see the screen, like they see like a top-down view where the boat is, and you know, maybe they get a little window of what the person in VR can see, but so they can drop things to make waves and to whatever else. Drop a fucking pirate ship in there if you get enough points.
3 to 1 click.
Yeah. Specialist.
Decade.
I have a very special set of skills. But they were only applicable in the 1970s. So you're safe.
It's all disco related.
Yes. My name is John Travolta. And I can Saturday Night Fever my way to get my daughter back.
It's Taken, but in the 1970s.
Yeah, it's a disco version of Taken.
Except it's, based nowadays, so he's got, no... goes, I've got a special set of skills, and he comes out and he's wearing,
bell
pretty
bottoms.
much a leisure suit.
Yeah. Exactly. He's got the little disco moves, the little point in the hip thing. I don't know what it's called. It's probably got a name.
So, I'm starting to see it as sort of like a third-person action adventure.
Sure.
In which you play, the disco hitman.
Okay.
And so, the very first mission of the game, you're doing a prologue, and it's in the 1970s.
Why did I choose the 70s? Why did I choose the 70s when I wasn't even fucking alive in the 70s? Now I've got to look up disco.
So... all I'm thinking about is Saturday Night Fever, or
I haven't seen it.
Even
all I know about disco, I learned from Mystery Men.
So I'm seeing a very 70s soundtrack at the start, and so he's basically being tasked with taking out a nightclub owner. So the idea that he sort of gets in there in this
because
prologue,
they're not playing enough disco.
Oh, he gets in there. He's sort of dancing across the thing. You got to remember in the first Assassin's Creed how you could blend into the
the crowds,
the priests or whatever that were walking around.
Yeah.
Well, basically, people doing disco moves, you can blend in, and you're doing you hold down the A button, and he starts doing dance moves and all this sort of stuff. And
but wait, is that going to blend in? Really?
It is in the 1970s.
Oh, sorry.
This is still the prologue.
I missed this bit. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so you take out the boss guy.
Yep.
And as you're running away and you get into your car, it then just does one of those morphing effects that it says present day.
Present
and
day.
He's a bit fatter, but he's still wearing the same
Okay. He's got the same outfit. He's got the same car, but now it's just puff and smoke out the exhaust.
Yeah.
It's beaten up, run down.
Basically,
it's 40 years
that
old.
That was his last mission, or one of his last missions.
Before disco died.
And something happens. Either your partner from back then gets captured, and you've got to go back into the world of Hitman and get your friend out of there. But you're kind of big like what I am.
So it's kind of like John Wick meets Disco Stew. It's John Wick if it was Disco Stew. All right, I like it. You have to go into the underground Hitman club, and you just where's the disco? This place used to be jumping.
He puts his feet up on the table, and he's got the goldfish in the platform shoes.
Oh god, there's just goldfish skeletons. All right, so how does this guy succeed? Is he this attached to disco that? I mean, obviously he is. So how does he go about killing people now? And how did this succeed? Did he just do it to blend it? Was he only successful because he blended in so well in the 70s?
Well, I think what happens now is you find out where he's just come from, or where he's going to now is actually a corporate event where he's a singing telegram sort of guy, dressed up in a disco's outfit.
That's his new job. That's his new job. Is he's a throwback, basically parody band of the 70s, except he doesn't realize that everyone thinks he's a parody because he's just totally serious. All right. I like the idea that he gets a new partner and she's a millennial. Like, she's just like 26 and doesn't understand him at all.
she's really making a millennial. Like, she's just 19.
No, I think 20. Let's split the difference. 23, and she's just like, "Who the fuck are the Bee Gees?" And he like slams the brakes on. Get out!
Now, is it a partner or is this the person who like tells him where the next mission is? Sort of like the I think Batman games, like the Oracle sort of voice in your ear sort of person.
No, I think she's there in the foreground. I think that this particular hit, like Assassins Association, partners up all their assassins because they don't believe in the lone wolf assassin.
Yeah,
it's like you work.
Maybe
you work
that comes
with someone
in a little
else.
bit later after like his previous partner gets captured, and they say, "We need to bring you back in."
Yeah. Okay. It's actually
got ties to your previous. Oh, he's just been doing the doing like the singing telegram thing for the last 20 odd years.
Yeah,
and
but the partner
got a shithole apartment and all this sort of stuff.
But the partner has still been assassinating, and the partner, funnily enough, got stuck in the 80s. That's when they really found their groove.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, well, because the 80s are back now, right? Like retro, so they've had a resurgence in their ability to blend in.
you see flashbacks every now and again, and our guy's still wearing 70s stuff, and his partner's got like a flock of seagulls haircut.
Yeah, totally. One white glove, leggings, and a ponytail.
Oh, and like leg warmers, the like fluoro green and pink.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Leg warmers.
That's what I was thinking, not leggings. Leg warmers, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so but the partner is also a dude.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't look good at all.
No. Looks terrible. But somehow he manages to get by. He just he does stays inconspicuous somehow enough to get close to his target and kill him.
So I'm just seeing that there's like this flashback, and you hear in the background the Olivia Newton-John song "Physical."
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking how our protagonist absolutely hates this sort of music because it was so far away from disco. But the 80s guy is like, no, this is the real shit.
Oh, totally. And then there's a huge shootout to the tune of Physical.
Let's get
physical. Boom, I wanna get physical. Let me hear your body bleed.
You could have some amazingly great choreographed fights to different 80s and 70s songs.
Totally. Throw some Michael Jackson in there.
I like the idea of it flashing back to previous missions with your old partner and that sort of stuff. So you
it's
see
the total collapse of your heart.
Oh God.
We got to get Weird Al on again, obviously. Sorry.
Once upon a time, I was falling in love. Now I'm gonna blow you away.
Now I'm gonna blow you apart. Nothing you can do. It's a total collapse of your heart.
You just crush him with like a forklift or something.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so I'm seeing this as a gritty, like GTA styled sort of game where you've got to sort of do some somewhat investigation-y sort of things because the group doesn't know where these your friend has been taken.
Yep.
But I'm seeing it as because retro is sort of coming back, that you can go into like the hippest clubs and start investigating, and you'll fit right in because
maybe
you're
there's
wearing...
a scene near the beginning where you walk into like an upmarket clothes store and one of the workers there just like fawns over you and realizes that the 70s are back, and from that point on you start seeing more and more people in like 70s retro stuff.
Nice.
You actually start the trend.
Okay, do we have character customization, or are you always just going to be this fat, sort of balding guy?
I mean, I think you can change the clothes up to a certain degree and the hair, but it's still got to be all 70s.
but it's always going to be somewhat combed over.
Yeah. He's got a comb over afro.
Bit of a bald spot. He can put wigs on.
Yeah, you can get wigs, sure.
Now I really want a cameo from like Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh, totally.
Because I'm seeing this almost like it's a Naked Gun-esque.
Yeah.
Now.
Well, and then the sequel is going to be about the 90s and the 2000s. Like, we'll just go through the decades. And the thing is, Weird Al's been there the whole time, so he can...
and he looks younger now than what he did back then.
He can cameo in each decade, in each era, and as what he looked like then.
Yep. He only turns up in the 80s, though, because that's when he started.
Well, he's a kid. He's a teenager or something. It's before he started. Maybe you inspire Weird Al in the very first flashback. What was his first song?
It was either My Bologna or another one, Rise the Bus. So,
right.
I'm picturing that, like, he's walking down the street eating a bologna sandwich, and he goes, "Hold on to this, kid. Don't touch my bologna." And it's like,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, because, there you go. Maybe it starts in 1980, which is when Another One Bites the Dust came out.
Yeah.
And Weird Al was... how old?
He was 17 or something like that.
Well, he would have been 21.
21.
So, yeah, there's like...
He doesn't look...
He's 58.
How old is he now?
He's 58.
Fuck, he doesn't look 58.
No, he doesn't. So, yeah, there's a scene where Another One Bites the Dust is playing. It's set in 1980, this because it's the end of disco. And yeah, he's like, "Oh, my bologna sandwich." Don't you mean what is it? Bologna? Wait a
but everyone
second.
calls it bologna. Bologna.
Oh, wait, I'm going off the wrong side. No, well, maybe he gets on a bus. It's like, "Get out of the way. Another one's got to ride this bus." It's like, ooh.
You just do every single one over like
in each decade,
hitting like, oh, something about poker.
It's like, "Hold my accordion, kid. I got to get on this bus."
And just have like Al on "Hello, my name is Al." You know, sort of he's helping
and he's
out.
He's got the glasses and the like start of this afro.
Oh god, I love Weird Al. No, I actually really like this game idea. I think it's got a bit of legs. Something could actually be done there.
Yeah, you could do some fun stuff. I like the idea of a more of a surreal comedy GTA style thing. Naked Gun-esque sort of thing, because like the comedy in Grand Theft Auto is just shit these days. Like they try to be satirical and just end up being crappy.
Yeah,
like
it just needs to be
offensive.
Like, totally over the top.
Yeah, totally over the top. Just super surreal jokes in the cutscenes and stuff.
Like, I don't know whether you've ever seen the TV series Police Squad, which is...
I haven't seen it, but I know that the Naked Gun is... Yeah.
So, other than the fact that, you know, they they open every single episode saying Police Squad now in color, and it's like it was only ever released in color.
Yeah.
But they have like a celebrity in every single intro sequence,
Right.
but they get killed in the intro sequence and then they don't appear in the episode.
Yeah, well, that's it. Like, very Mel Brooks, very Leslie Nielsen style sort of humor. That'd be a real interesting challenge in a game.
Very much so. Very much so.
Cool. Well,
Okay.
I think maybe
that's about
we'll
it.
call it an ep.
Sorry, we're a little bit lackluster today. Like, I just wasn't feeling it because I'm feeling not.
Don't
not
apologize.
Too great
It
right
was
now.
fine. If we don't tell them that it was crap, they'll think it was good. That's how things work, right? Yes. So, if you would like to find us on the Instagrams or Facebook or Twitter, we have Bitstormcast on all of those. We have a Facebook group, facebook.com/group/Bitstorm. Also, we are on Podchaser, podchaser.com/Bitstorm. Leave us a rating and review. Not on this episode, because we know it was terrible. On the good ones.
Also, check us out on iTunes where you can rate, review, and, of course, subscribe there. We have our website, bitstormcast.com. We've got lots of awesome friends at the AGPN, the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network. Just search on Twitter for hashtag AGPN and on Facebook, the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network. It's a public Facebook group and we try to help each other out. It's really awesome. Finally, we'd like to thank Kuridas for the song Mount Defiance off of the album Containment Failure. And
Yeah.
that'll do us tonight for Bitstorm. I'm Trevor Scott.
I'm Ben Slinger. My Bologna.